As a reminder, notice was given that a public hearing on the 2015 proposed budget for the town of Waukesha, Wisconsin will be held on Tuesday, November 11th, 2014, beginning at 7 p.m. at Town Hall, West 250, South 3567 Center Road, Waukesha, Wisconsin. The proposed budget and details available for inspection at the town clerk's office from 8 to 4 p.m., 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. According to our town ordinances, the following procedures will be followed at the public hearing. Chairperson will read the notice of the hearing. The chair shall then call on those persons who wish to speak for the proposition, that being the proposed levy limit of $1,585,586. Each person wishing to speak for the proposition shall give his or her name and address. Each person speaking on behalf of the proposition shall be limited to a reasonable time as set by the board. The chairperson shall then call on those persons who wish to oppose the proposition. Each person wishing to speak in opposition to the proposition shall give his or her name and address and shall also be limited. And any person wishing to speak in rebuttal to any statements made may, with the permission of the chairperson, do so, provided, however, such rebuttal statement shall be limited to 3 minutes by any one individual. When the chair is satisfied in his discretion that the proposition has been heard, he or she shall announce that the fact of the hearing is concluded. Once again, I just want to make sure that everybody that's here has had an opportunity to sign the attendance sheet that's in the back, and that only town residents are allowed to vote or make motions. At this time, is there anybody on the board that would like to make a motion for reasonable time limits for tonight's hearing?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to set the reasonable time limit at 3 minutes.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we'll open it up for comments, starting with those that would like to be in favor of the proposition.
Good evening, everyone. Mike Borchert, West 231, South 5205, Hunters Hollow. My comments are for all the citizens in the town of Waukesha. Having attended majority of the town meetings for the last 2 years, I've seen a tremendous progress in the financial business that our board has conducted, and they've made a lot of improvements and are saving us a lot of money. That is an ongoing process. It doesn't stop. If you go to the meetings on a regular basis, there's always something coming up, and they're always trying to save us money. They've been following all the proper procedures for budget amendments and allocating funds before payment. The town of Waukesha residents have elected the current town board to do the everyday business for us. There are a few residents that may have different ideas on what the budget should be, but they are not on the board and they don't see the everyday business that these gentlemen do. So it's my recommendation, or I encourage all the town residents to support the budget that is presented to us tonight and approve it. I think they've done a fantastic job. In the 24 years that I've lived in the town of Waukesha, this is by far the best board I've ever seen. And they are doing the most for the town residents in Waukesha. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Bill Robb, South 48, West 23720 Merlin Lane. I just want to thank all of you as a taxpayer in the town for the diligent work you've done to keep the budget where it is. It's no small task in this day and age to keep a tax levy at or below where it was. So once again, I want to thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice?
I have a procedural question, may I ask it?
Sure.
How does one know?
Come on up to the microphone, please.
Andy Van Sonk, South 51, West 25375, Glendale Road. This is a far different procedure than I've ever experienced at a town meeting in 20 or 25 years as far as limitations. How does one know before questions are asked and answered, which is usually a part of the public hearing, if one is for or against anything?
Well, if it's a procedure that you hadn't followed in the past, I don't know what to say about that, but I'm reading it directly out of our town code, and this is our ordinance on how to proceed with the public hearing.
From a legal standpoint, I'll answer the question.
Thank you.
And it is a difficult, when you try to follow the ordinance at a budget hearing like this, it's difficult. So what we've suggested, when the chairman and I discussed this earlier today, is that people should just use the opportunity to speak. And, you know, whether you're speaking in favor or against, or you have questions, just use whichever opportunity you feel is the most. We're not gonna cut anybody off. At the end, we have rebuttal. So if you have questions, please just feel free to come up and ask your questions. You may not know at this point whether you're pro or against, but we want everyone to have an opportunity to speak, and everyone will be given an opportunity to speak.
And what if the questions take more than 3 minutes because we have a 10-page document?
Well, the answer to that question is that your ordinance says that the board can set it. But that does not mean we won't give people a second opportunity to speak. I even reviewed the minutes from last year, which are made available to me today, and people were given more than one opportunity to speak. All we're asking as a courtesy is the first time you speak, you're limited to 3 minutes so that everyone will be given an opportunity to speak.
And is the board answering questions on specific issues in what the paperwork that they've provided to us?
If you have some questions, why don't you make us aware of your questions, and then we can move forward.
I just wanted to be sure I was allowed to do that. I'll do that in a moment then. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Joe Bansky, S32, W26341, Bob Elcourt. My question is with regard to account number 53000, Public Works. It appears that the board has chosen to conceal a number of accounts that were previously isolated within the budget. I'm wondering if the board could go through and maybe describe for us which accounts you've pulled in there, and perhaps there's a working document or something that describes how much you're setting aside for snowplow, how much you're setting aside for road repair, slag, those kinds of things, because it's just now a number that's just jammed together, gives us no ability to evaluate it.
Sure, I'll answer that. First of all, nothing was concealed. The worksheets are wide open for anybody to see.
Consolidated, that choice.
Nothing was concealed, first of all. Snow removal is in there for $180,000 for labor. Road crack filling, slag, and paving is $175,000. In that number is the portalette for the park at $600. Town hall and grounds of $6,000 and Highway and Street of $4,500.
And is that all the categories, Mr. Chairman?
No,
Let's start right at the beginning. Maybe we
Okay.
could run through the whole. What the chairman is reading is per the state statute, the categories that are required to be given are set forth in the public notice, and that's right out of the state statute. And so they have broken the budget worksheets into those categories, it's my understanding, and a request has been made to explain what is in the public works category. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so why don't we just read them from the beginning? Is that okay?
That's fine. Additionally, town hall of $7,000, highway of $21,000, salt procurement of $200,000, culverts of $37,000, ditch work of $7,000, road work of $5,000, and parks of $2,000. And that's the entirety of that.
Mr. Chairman, could I just make a real quick comment?
Yes.
2 comments. First of all, the board has not attempted to conceal anything. That said, I have some, looking for the right word, sympathy perhaps, but I hear the
comment that you have made, leaving aside the concealment part of it, and I'm inclined to agree with you. I mean, when we actually put this into the new accounting software and everything, just my personal preference would be to see some breakdown on that, because I think it'll be easier to manage and understand.
And by the way, Supervisor Fisher, it will be. It is broken out in line item detail. Anybody else?
Is this for rebuttal too, or no?
We can have rebuttal afterwards.
Well, I'm not sure what we're doing anyway, but I'm gonna go. Hi, I'm Wayne Krzyzanowski, West 254, South 4360, Pinoak Lane. When I was a young teenager growing up in our Cudahy Tavern, I noticed some funny business going on across the street at Venus Ford Garage. It was nighttime and there were flashlights illuminating the garage. I thought, as a naive teenager, that it was strange for mechanics working so late at night using flashlights. The next morning, word was out that Venus Ford had been robbed of a lot of tools and machinery the night before. I didn't say anything because I only saw the flashlights and could not identify any of the thieves. Well, I stumbled onto something at the town hall yesterday and could not sleep last night. At 10 a.m. yesterday, my wife and I requested a copy of the detailed budget. We saw a number of questionable entries, such as on page 3, the clerk treasurer's salary being increased 12% from $110,000 to almost $130,000. The retirement figure being increased 33%, and their benefits increasing 10%. To me, these large increases need to be questioned. We got a call at 1:00 p.m. that the 2015 detailed proposed budget was in error and could be picked, and we could go and pick up a corrected copy if we wished. We went back and picked up the corrected copy. The entries I just mentioned had not been changed, but other entries in different areas had changed. For instance, on page 4, the fire department salary wages for the 10 a.m. report increased 9%, but the 1 p.m. version showed an increase of 3%. The 1 a.m. dues, memberships, and training increased 39%, but the 1 p.m. version showed an increase of 17%. When the total fire department budget was added up with other item changes, the 10 a.m. value increase was reported at 11%, but the 1 p.m. report only showed a final change of 0.1%. This being said, and considering all the other discrepancies, I feel that I am like the congressman voting for the Obamacare package when Nancy Pelosi said, "First approve it, then we'll see what's in it." With this knowledge, I suggest that the vote on the tax levy be tabled until these changes are clarified. I cannot vote to approve such a levy until all the line budget detailed proposals are confirmed and made transparent to all town citizens. Also, since the budget should reflect the levy, I, as a concerned citizen, do not understand why the 2015 line detail proposal cannot be put on the website 15 days before the meeting rather than being hit with it for our evaluations minutes before the citizen electorate vote on the levy. Thank
Well,
you.
let's address because you rattled off a lot of information, so let's address them one at a time.
Please.
The first one that you had was, I believe, on page 3, the clerk treasurer salaries and wages. Is that accurate?
Sure.
Okay. The increase is due to the fact that we bought the accounting in-house completely. We used to have a fellow named here named Rick Schubarth who did accounting for us. He's gone, that's done in-house now. Those funds were moved into that account, as well as we have an extra personnel in here for filing and so forth. That's the reason for the increase. No
You know
clerk,
the clarity-
no, excuse me, sir. No clerk, the clerk treasurer has not increased her salary as you indicated. That increase was due to the fact that we brought our accounting in-house. What was your next question, please?
The comment that I'm making on that is by you condensing all of these things, there is no clarity as to what you're all combining together.
Certainly there is, it's on the detail page, you can look at it,
Where's
you're
the
open to
detail
ask a
page?
question. You can
Is
come
it on
into
the
town hall,
internet?
sir, one at a time, please. The detail page is here at town hall, you can come into the town hall at any time and ask for that information, it's very clear.
Why can't it be put on your webpage?
That's a rhetorical question. Next question.
Do you have another question? You had several items that you were concerned about.
I, as a concerned citizen, think it should be put on the webpage so that
Sir,
we have
that's not,
time to
the
address
question
it.
is, what were your other issues, please? You had several issues that you were concerned about. Please
Okay,
tell me what the other one is and we can clarify it for you.
why were there changes made quickly to all of these things?
I'll answer that question. It wasn't quickly made. The budget summary that was published hasn't changed one dime. It's the same. There were some keystroke errors that were put in the detail page. Those were corrected, very simply. Do you have questions on specific line items that you'd like clarification on?
No, because I would love to budget my books the same way that you do too.
No,
Thank you
sir,
for your
this
time.
is the budget, and it hasn't changed one iota.
You're
So
right.
please don't
You can do
indicate, sir,
whatever you want
please let me
with that.
finish speaking. The budget hasn't changed one dime. So for you to insinuate that it has is simply not true, and we will not tolerate that. The budget is the budget, and it hasn't changed a dime. If there were keystroke errors, that's a whole nother issue. If you have questions on a keystroke error, please bring them to light, and we will address it right here and right now.
Do you have the report from yesterday morning at 10 o'clock?
The only changes on the report, I gave you a report before the fire department. The fire department EMS department was in there. I had given you one before. Then I realized that I had given you that one out, so I called you and said that I've incorporated the fire and EMS in the proper column. And that's what you put down.
Okay, there's errors throughout the entire report.
You'll have to point them out before you go and
Do you
tell.
want to do that right
Mr.
now?
Sir, before you start insinuating that there are errors, please tell us what they are, and yes, we will look at them.
Errors?
No, one at a time.
Come up here, just give us alignment.
Well, tell us which one, we'll address it.
Tell you the truth, I'm so shaken, I can't think of how to phrase these questions. These are questions that could have been answered if these were put on the internet
Ask us
earlier.
now. Here we are.
I reserve that right for another time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for inviting the public to ask questions and point out some things that we still need some work on keystroke errors. The first one is on the account 46330 income item, solid waste and recycling. You have January through September, a total of $49,438. I'd like to know where the other $500,000 that should have been collected as part of the taxes is accounted for.
What's your question, please?
My question is that on account 46330, you show in January through September receipts, should be income, it's an income category, $49,438. You collect for the waste on our tax bill. So you get from that from the county in January and I believe in August. All of that should have been collected. You are $500,000, give or take, shy.
So we need to do a journal entry.
A journal entry.
A journal entry.
A journal
You're
entry.
very familiar with the journal entry, you know exactly what it is.
Wait, the question is, if I understand it, is the money currently in received taxes
It is.
and costs, and it has to be transferred?
Transferred into the.
So the money
line
is, the
item.
$500,000 is currently in what line item, to answer the question for the citizen, if we know? Is it
I don't
tax
know.
levies or received taxes?
I think it's called,
I think it's simply not in your spreadsheet. It is probably in QuickBooks, but it hasn't been. If I may ask, this is a spreadsheet, this does not come directly from the financial statements, is that correct? It wasn't imported.
the first portion was imported.
Well, then
Second
I have more of a
portion was-
concern, but I brought that to light since we've asked for specific things. My second question would be related to 51440. And I think everybody has these, so hopefully, I did them in order so it would be easy for everyone to follow because we had very little time to review it. 51440 is on page 3 of 7. And I'm wondering why the election expense has now been, the detail been hidden from you.
The election costs were pulled into the clerk treasurer's.
So when the answer was given by the chairman that the increase in clerk treasurer was due to bringing your financial statements in-house, that may have been part of it, but the larger part would have been that you no longer provide the detail for election expense and those dollars have been pulled into the clerk treasurer's account?
No, the detail is there.
Where's the detail?
The detail is in the detailed worksheet that is available.
I have the detailed worksheet and it is not on
The
it.
detail is there in the detail worksheet that you obviously do not have, and those monies were pulled together into the clerk treasurer's budget. We are not micromanaging the way it was done in the past. For the past 3 budget cycles, we are going back to the way that it was done previously and the way that most every other town does it.
The election expense was part of the budgets going back well before my administration, so I'm not quite sure where that comment is coming from. But the election expense that has been listed independently is no longer on the detail account, which was provided to me yesterday at 3:30. So if there's been an updated number since then, it'd be great to have it. All right, next question is IT services, account number 51510. I'd like to know why that account has increased by almost 8%. That was negotiated this year by this board, that new contract.
We took out the, in the IT is not only the services of Gordon Flesh, it also is our services for our website. And in the past, the website was put into general government. We put it in, because it is, the website is IT, we put it in the same account.
And how much is that website administration annually?
Just a second. We've got $250 for minutes on demand, $750 for revise, and Gordon Flesh is $13,464.
So there was an increase with Gordon Flesh over the previous company. I think that goes without saying. The next question is on 51600. Why are the town hall and grounds detail items hidden from you?
Yeah, first of all, I'm not gonna accept any more hidden or.
What would you like
any-
it, what would
It's
you
not
like it
hidden,
set?
it is combined.
It's combined with what? Where is it combined to?
There is nothing hidden, these items are combined, so please don't make any more references to
Well,
anything
they-
being hidden. Please let me finish. Anything being hidden or not transparent.
But if the information was there and is no longer there, how would the public, how do we view it if
The
it wasn't?
information is there, it is available on the detail. Ask the clerk, it is available from 8 AM to 4 PM. Come into the town hall and ask, rather than making insinuations that something bad is going on.
I did ask, and this is what I received, and I'm asking questions based on the information received yesterday at 3:30.
Okay, the town hall and grounds
Mhm.
have been merged in with DPW, as the
Well-
DPW department is the one that takes care of our
So the
Town hall and
detail, so it's been merged with what?
DPW,
And what account number is
Sorry.
DPW?
Public Works, I'm sorry, 53000, 53300.1 for salaries, FICA, and so on.
That's okay, so 53300 account. It's for everything town hall and grounds.
Yes,
Okay.
Department of Public Works.
51700 is no longer on the document. Where did that go?
And
That
that's,
is town hall sewer, no longer shown.
The sewer costs are in with the utilities.
And what's that number, please? Was that 51900?
51900.
And is that a new account?
That is a new account. yes.
And under utilities, what have you included there?
All of the We Energies, the Time Warner, the AT&T, and the sewer.
So those, the meters for, let's say, the fire department and the town hall are separately metered. And those were all individually into the area codes, so that people could understand where the costs were. All of those have been pulled out of those other areas and put into one utilities instead of the separation.
That's correct, because our meters were not just the town fire department. The one meter here was part of the town hall as well as the fire department. There was a meter in the back in the DPW area for
I'm well
our,
aware.
okay.
I'm well aware, and that's why that was separated. Not everybody.
Please let her finish her answers. Please continue.
Certainly.
So our breakup of the utilities were not exact. The same with Time Warner, we all share Time Warner in the building. So it made more sense to keep it as a utility than try to figure out how much the fire department was using, how much DPW, and how much the town hall.
I understand, thank you. 52300, why is the ambulance detail no longer available for view?
The area where the ambulance and the, actually ambulance or EMS service and fire department have been, it's one department, so it's been it's been merged together in one, in the same line item.
For what
So it would be line 52200 is where both, and it's specific, it says fire and EMS departments.
I understand that it does that, but the fire department software actually tracks the firefighters' work by their ambulance work versus their fire work. And in order to share revenues of ambulance runs with the expense of ambulance runs, you really need to have that information separated so that you know what your cost analysis is. There's really no way to review this if that information's not available.
This was reviewed with our fire chief before it was done.
I understand that, but you're responsible for the
I believe,
P&L.
we'll leave those decisions up to the fire chief. He's the professional. I think he's more competent at making that decision than you are. So we'll leave him make those decisions.
52000, total public safety. Can someone provide the line items for the totals for that doesn't appear on the report?
What was your number, please?
52000.
The line item is simply missing.
Public safety, 52000.
Your total fire under,
Total public safety is what you're asking for.
Public
It's
safety, yes.
On page 5.
that's correct.
It's,
It's actually page 4, unless you have a different version.
It's, no, the total is on, you're asking for a total of 52,000, correct?
Total fire. Do you not have a total
No,
fire
total.
line?
Total public safety.
Well, perhaps you could look at under 52210, fire inspection and prevention. You have a total in your 2015 budget line of $554,799. That number stands alone. There are
That's
no-
correct. That's correct. That was done so then the board could see what the fire department itself, both the fire EMS department and the fire inspection and prevention was for this year when they were putting the budget together. The total public safety item, which is on page 5, is the complete amount is the 52,000.
In other words, it was.
$908,199.
In other words, it was broken out for comparison's sake only.
But only on one line item, not on the rest of the 7, so you're not able to compare the others.
We were able to compare.
But this document is also for the public, and so I'm just pointing out that that information wasn't available to us.
That information is available to you. That is simply not true.
It wasn't
All of the
available
Ma'am,
on
let
this-
me finish speaking. All of the information that is available to us is available to the public from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the clerk's office. All you need to do is come in, and you do not need to make false insinuations about anything being hidden or non-transparent.
Angie, when it comes to the budget last year,
Yes.
when you look at the budget preparation last year,
Mhm.
that fire line wasn't on there at all.
Okay.
And so we were just doing it to help with comparison when we were doing the fire. It was only totaled at the public safety.
I appreciate that, thank you. 53000, Public Works. That number is now a lump sum number for the 2015 budget of $770,000 and 22 for change. That combines, I believe, 6 different accounts, 7 different accounts actually. And when you talk about transparency, this is probably my biggest question in the entire document. No longer transparent is the amount that it costs us to run our DPW. Because that number, and
Excuse
really I'd
me,
like
ma'am,
to
I'm
be
going to cut you
able.
off because that's simply false. It is absolutely transparent. It's in the number, $770,022. It is available for you to see between the hours of 8 and 4 p.m. at the town hall. Ask the clerk, and you will be provided with a breakout detail of what those numbers are. Very simple. And it is as per our budget. This is what we are required by state law to provide you, and that's what we have done so.
And nothing more.
No, ma'am, you can have all the detail you want.
Yeah, this is the time and place
You
for it.
can
and
have
this-
all the detail you want. It is available between 8 and 4 p.m. If you had questions, perhaps you should have done that instead of wasting everybody else's time that's here tonight.
Oh, everybody's time's being wasted, I didn't realize that.
No way, no way.
Thank you.
Well, the question is, what are the 7 numbers that went into the 770,022? Would somebody please answer?
I
We've
have,
already read that off.
That was your
I'll
question.
read it again if you like.
no, I want more information than you've provided, and to make the point that you are making the point that everything needs to be transparent and is. And in your financial statements, you track, and DPW costs $130-some thousand, okay? The snow and ice removal in 2013 was $320,000. You have culvert installation, ditching, crack filling of almost $100,000, and almost $200,000 in road repairs. Without providing that detail, we have no idea how many dollars you spent in any of those categories. We don't know if you spent money on road repairs or not.
That's not true. That detail is available in the clerk's office between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. anytime you choose to have it. Additionally, at the end of each month, there will be a detailed financial sheet that looks like this that has all of those breakouts. You're trying to find something nefarious where nothing nefarious
Why
exists.
isn't that on here then? If that's your plan, why have you removed that information from your work copies and provided this consolidated list to us?
Because that is the way that it is done in most other towns around us. This is the budget. Not that ridiculous sheet of paper with everything broken out to the point where we had to know and do a budget amendment to buy more pencils or erasers. It was ridiculous, and it has come to an end. I'm sorry that's not the way that you choose to budget, but that's the way that this board in its entirety has chosen to budget.
Yes, we budgeted with detail, that's correct. But you're mistaken on their statutes.
Ma'am, what you did in the past is of no interest. We are here tonight to set the levy for the 2015 budget.
I certainly understand that, but that levy includes the taxpayers understanding where the money is going. And you have not given us a report as to how much you have spent in snow plowing last year, or salt last year,
That's
or
simply
road
incorrect.
repairs
That's not
next year.
true. That is in the financial statement that's available to you. It has been made available every month this year. It is right here in my hand, and what you are saying is absolutely false and not accurate.
Then why isn't it on the report that has been given for our review? How can we ask you a question? Do you know that this number, $770,000, represents 28% of our entire budget? 28% of our entire budget has no detail. And you're talking about transparency.
No, you have to stop lying, ma'am. It has all of the detail. It is on the worksheet. We have told you what goes into that number. You have to stop lying and saying that it's not available. The detail is available.
How much did you spend on road repairs in 2014?
Can you pull it up, please, Madam Clerk?
Crack filling, we spent $22,753.06 on crack filling.
Thank you. And what was the budget for that?
$25,000.
Okay.
And the road repairs we just got our Payne and Dolan in, so that's not on here, but it's $47,915.30 is what we paid at this point. We had $130,740 budgeted.
But some of those bills for this current year have not come in yet, or
That's
have not
correct.
been paid yet.
Have not been paid yet.
And do you anticipate that we'll hit our total number?
I'm sorry.
Will we hit our total number expenditure?
Will come in under the total number.
Okay, thank you. What have we spent on snow and ice removal?
We spent $224,592.53 so far.
And what is
We
our budget?
budgeted for $393,765.
And what are you budgeting in your 2015 budget for snow and ice removal?
We've already gone through that. Do we need to go through it again?
Just the total number, please.
The, 380,000.
380. And given the chairman's comments, I'm anticipating that financial statements will still be provided with all of this detail as to progress payments and where we are. This is just an anomaly to be on this particular document shown this way?
No. The new stuff, go ahead.
We're in the process of transferring over from the QuickBooks over to Workhorse. We know that when we get into Workhorse, everything will be in much more detail than, because we'll be looking at salt and snow and things like that as project items. So although it's under Public Works, it will have a project code for it. So if I needed to find out exactly how much we spent in snow plow or snow removal, I would be able to bring that up by project code.
And we have that in QuickBooks now, and that's why I'm surprised that this information isn't appearing on this report, because all that detail is available to you in your financial statements.
It's right here on the financial statement, ma'am. It's available
I'd be
between
happy to
8
get a
and
copy
4
of that.
at the town hall, any day you choose to come in here during the week.
I know, but this
Please
is...
do so.
Can we give others an opportunity to speak?
I think that would be prudent. Do you have anything further?
I do. It's been said on your public hearing report that you're reducing the total expenditures by 6%. But it's not noted that that is not against the original budget, your inflated budget, based on amendments, is at $3,000,003. But the budget that was approved by this group last year was at $2,009,000. So you actually are comparing your decrease to an inflated number over which we approved the levy last year that you did by budget amendment.
No, we are decreasing spending 6% over spending from 2014, cut and dry, and that's the end of the story. And you're not going to play any numbers games and twist what this board has done.
In 2013 and 2012 and 2011, total expenditures were less than what you have right now, even with the legal fees that we were paying. You are now charging us more than that time. Where is the savings from the money that we were supposed to save by legal fees?
That is simply not true. We are not paying more in taxes. Please look at the budget. We have proposed to reduce the tax levy to $1,585,586 from a tax levy of $1,648,000 last year. I don't know where you got your math skills from, but if you look at $1,600,000 and $1,585,000, $1,585,000 is lower. And your tax bill, you will benefit from this just as everybody else in this room. Your tax bill will also go down.
But you had to take $32,000 from our savings account in order to balance your budget with the amendments that you did during the course of 2014. So you were not able to live within your means.
I'm not going to let you speak falsehoods. What we did was we took $33,000 in order to procure additional salt last year during a very harsh winter from our capital, from the funds that we have sitting in our general fund. That's what it's there for.
Oh, that's what, but we didn't do that. You know, we lived
don't,
within our
ma'am,
means.
I don't think anybody in this room cares what you did.
Okay, nobody cares that the general fund is being taken.
No, the
In
general fund is, no, you're not gonna say things that aren't true. We took
Fund
33, no ma'am, you will not speak over me. We took $33,000 to procure extra salt during a very harsh winter last year. I don't think that there's any resident in this room that would prefer that our roads remain unsalted and unsafe for them to drive on.
I would agree, but in a $3 million budget, there was probably $33,000 somewhere that you could have found, perhaps in legal. But the correct answer is in 2012, $2,007,000 was actually spent, $2,008,000 in 2013. You have raised the amount that you're spending. You can play games with what you're doing in the numbers, but numbers don't lie.
No, ma'am. We are reducing the tax levy from $1,648,000 in 2014 to $1,585,000 in 2015. You are correct, numbers don't lie.
Millette Krzyżanowski, West 254, South 4360, Pinot Plain. I have a couple of questions. I don't know if they can be answered, but I'm getting more confused as the time goes on. Anyway, capital outlays was reduced by $94,000. I don't understand why. And then Mr. Fisher made a comment that there's going to be a fund in a couple of months. You're going to figure this out later, was what I heard during the presentation.
Well,
Maybe I heard
let's
wrong.
answer your first question.
All right.
Yes, capital spending has been reduced. Part of that was, a big chunk of that, $38,000 in capital spending was for the septic repair. That's this year, it's been handled, we don't need to repair it
The septic
again.
is
Excuse me,
repaired?
ma'am.
Okay.
It's under contract, we don't have to address it again next year, it's already done, it's $38,000, we don't need to pay for it twice. I don't think any of the taxpayers want to pay for anything twice.
Oh, I'm definitely
All
not.
right. So in that, yes.
When we were finished, go ahead.
So in that regard, then we've reduced it by $50,000. We have nearly $2 million sitting in cash. Much of that has been earmarked for capital budgets. Do you have a suggestion that would you prefer that we raise taxes
No.
in order to fund some other capital project that you would like us to undertake?
No, I was just questioning the reduction of capital because it was my understanding we were tucking away a little bit of money each year to help pay for like future, like say a $500,000 fire truck or something, so you didn't have to come up with that all in one year. You were like putting money away a little at a time to save for future major purchases.
We are indeed. As a matter of fact, for that fund, we have $140,000 set aside for a future tender or ambulance, whichever the fire chief deems is the first one that we replaced. Now that we have got our spending under control, we will continue to do so and put monies away for those future expenses. We also have significant funds that are set aside and earmarked for purchase of DPW vehicles.
Okay, great, and that's part of that $1.8 million in the general fund, right?
Yes,
May
All
I
right, thank
respond,
you.
Mr. Chairman?
yes, please.
Sure. You raised a question, Ms. Krasnowski.
Mm-hmm.
Facts, okay? We currently have a general fund, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That general fund has funds in it which have been previously committed by action, really, of the electors of the town of Waukesha to capital outlays.
Mm-hmm.
There's a spreadsheet for that, copy of which I'm holding up. It is showing currently a capital outlay summary that has $866,289. That's not a separate designated fund, that's commingled, if you will, into the general fund, but is committed to these purposes. There's a couple of housekeeping things in here that have been completed that need to be taken off that list, so it'll drop that number a bit. Don't hang on that as absolute, okay?
Okay.
There's better management of that can and will be done, but the goal of the town board, and I think I can speak for the town board, this is on recommendation, we hire professionals, as you well know, you attend most of our board meetings, auditors and so forth. We need to have a capital fund. Most municipalities have a separate capital fund, and we need to have a detailed capital plan. We've got a capital plan of sorts, but it's something that needs to be established, and we will work with professionals such as, including Mr. Macy and our auditors and so forth, to get that accomplished. And then it's something that needs to be routinely and dutifully managed. We need probably annually, if you look at what's done in other municipalities or how they handle capital funds, it needs to be subjected to an annual review. We will necessarily have requests that come forward from the fire department, from public works people. Those requests may be initiated by members of the town board. They may be suggestions or requests that come forth from citizens such as you who come to address us during citizens' comments. Here's a need. You need to make capital provisions for it. We need to look at major road improvements. This town is not going to get by for years and years and years to come by simply doing crack filling, and I'm not poo-pooing that, that's a good thing to do, but simply putting some slag on, filling some cracks and stuff. Some of you may live on roads which are going to have to be rebuilt. That's very expensive kind of stuff. So prudent planning by this town mandates that we come up with a capital plan. Those things need to have citizen comment and input, and a capital fund. So the representation is now a general fund. We don't have a capital fund. I think the board is committed to doing that. I would encourage everybody in the town to understand that and support that. The town will be in a better place if we do some good planning and financial management.
I look forward to that, and I agree with that completely. And that's why I was questioning not having additional capital outlays for 2015. My next question. You have listed that interest income will increase by almost $10,000. You're going to double your interest income according to this budget proposal.
Yes.
I don't know a bank, or I don't know of investments that are going to guarantee me to double my interest income. And you also have a little bit less money because you had to take it for the road salt payment. So your general fund is slightly smaller than last year, but you're gonna have double the interest. I don't understand that, sorry.
Is that a question?
Yes, that's a question. Where are you getting it?
Why don't we answer it for you?
Thank you.
I have put together a new credit card program. The county has been doing this for years. Many municipalities have been doing it for years. All the money that we spend paying our garbage, and our regular everyday things we can get money back on using this credit card system. And so the money in that, we are going to get some of that money back from the bank, and that's where that interest comes in. That's the bank and interest money. I put it right in that. We expect the credit card company looking over all of our funds, and we are bringing that to the board on Thursday. They expect us to bring in 15,000. I was being very generous and just putting in 10,000.
Okay, well, I gotta find out about that credit card.
Well, it's no different than, for instance, I have a GM credit card. I buy everything on my GM credit card, and I am able to reap the rewards of that of several $1,000s a year.
Well, I have a
You
Disney, I have a
can get
Disney
that.
card, but they only give me 1%, and every 5 years I can go to Disney World for free.
I get a GM card, it's 5%.
All right, anyway,
Mr. Chairman.
anyway, that's
can I
not,
just give you
that's not
a
relevant to
response to one
this.
other thing. During the presentation, and this remains to be seen, we're sitting on November 11th today, but I believe I indicated to you in the presentation, those estimates or projections of year-end expenditures that you saw, I believe those are significantly above what they will actually end up being, okay? I firmly believe we will be underspent for the year and in the black. The absolute truth and reality of that won't be known for a couple of months, but to suggest that, or to infer, and I indicated to you, yes, we presented those numbers, but that the level of expense, actual year-end, when 2014 closes out, will be as it is that we have, and I'm going to say conservatively projected. I think we're overestimating those expenditures, and we will end up significantly in the black. That's my belief, and time will tell.
Okay, and then I just have one last question about your presentation. When you showed on the thing with the yard waste and the solid waste collection, and you put 0 for yard waste, because you said they were combined now?
I
Sure,
should answer that.
let's
So,
have Supervisor Dorr take
let me
that.
jump into that.
He's the best
Okay,
answer.
my question is yard waste gonna be picked up at home too now?
No.
Well, it
Nothing.
just looked that way from, I
Let me
misunderstood.
explain. Previous budgets accounted for the rubbish removal as a line item on your property tax.
Mhm.
And this year that was allocated at $600,000. Then in the general budget, not allocated as part of rubbish removal, but just rolled into the general tax levy, was an additional $25,000 to run the yard waste in the back.
Right.
With the new contract, it was advantageous for us to do that all at one time. So the $152 that Supervisor Fisher spoke to, that will be a line item for rubbish removal, includes the $25,000 that was previously part of the tax levy. So there is no substantial change other than we're going to single stream recycling. You're gonna get a 96-gallon recycling container instead of the 18-gallon recycling container. But the yard waste place is staying open. It's just that the line item in the general fund of $25,000 is now part of the line item rubbish removal that comes under property taxes.
Okay, thank you.
First of all, I would like to thank everyone who I know has worked so very hard on this budget. I know budgets take a long time to put together, and I know they are long and tedious work. Secondly,
I think we should get, although we know who you are, name and address.
Betty Paget, South 57 West 22641, Woodside Court, Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Thank you.
A lady here mentioned elections. I know some of you had to wait a long time in election time. I'm sorry for that. The other thing is if you are concerned about the cost of elections, we are in great need of poll workers. If you know somebody or some person or yourself who is interested, it doesn't pay a lot, but it is a gratifying experience. The other thing is the garbage pickup I don't quite understand yet. I know we're getting the bigger bins, and I know that we're gonna have once a week, or every other week garbage pickup. Does that also mean our regular garbage will be picked up every other week also?
No, not at all. Your regular garbage pickup is gonna remain on the same day that it is currently. You're gonna keep the same bin that you have, and your regular solid waste goes into there. you're gonna get a second similar container, a different color, and that will contain all of your recyclables, so all of your paper, all your plastic, all your bottles, cardboard, all goes into there. The theory behind the larger container is that you'll put more recyclables in there, less will go to the landfills, and so our costs at the landfill go down, and the tonnage that goes to the joint recycling facility between Milwaukee and Waukesha County will go up, and our rebates, we get a rebate at the end of the year, that will increase because our tonnage there will be larger. So your recyclables will be picked up every other week, and your regular garbage still every week.
Will we still have once a month large pickup,
Yes,
just as we do now?
yes.
Perfect. Thank you. We got something
Evening.
Hi, Brian Grace Haley, S44 West 25700, Mariana Drive. So if I heard tonight correctly, we fixed the septic?
It has not been fixed. We are under contract to repair the septic. We have a solution, we have an engineer drawing, we have
The
a
contract's
price.
been awarded.
Okay, so that'll fix
It
it.
just hasn't started yet.
Okay, do we still need to pump it 7 times a year?
No, what's gonna happen is we're gonna connect to the city sewer. We're gonna remain on our well and connect to the city sewer and pump our waste into
We
the
are.
city sewer.
Okay, so in your budget line here, shouldn't you add somebody in for 2015 for that sewer cost?
Yes.
To the city, but it says 0.
We did add, in the utilities, we added $2,000 for that city cost.
Okay, so you transfer 58300
And
to
put it
to
right
this new
into.
fund, to 51900, is that
That's
correct?
correct, that's correct.
Okay,
With
so
the
it's gonna
rest
cost
of
us $40,000 a year from here on in?
No, 2,000.
2,000
Just for the whole year, not per
for the
month.
year.
So what is the rest of that?
That's all of our, that's Time Warner, electric.
Oh, I see, that's all,
It's
you-
all
That's
all
all our
utilities.
utilities.
So it's $200 a month. What is the capital expense for the road repair to draw that sewer line down? Is that in here too?
The amount for the sewer connection is all in the 2014 budget, not in the
Well, what-
2015.
So that 38,000 is
Yes.
all inclusive, they're gonna rip the road up, they put
They're-
a new
yeah.
pipe in, everything's in there.
Yeah, they don't have to rip the road up,
No,
but
she said, she's estimated to pay that this year. That's not in the 20, did I hear you correctly?
Yeah.
that's right.
This year, yeah.
It's the 2014,
But
so it's
these-
not in the 40,000. Because it's.
They're very similar, it's 38,000 whatever,
I didn't know, I don't have the details.
and 39,000 for the other,
Sir,
so.
the contractor does not have to tear up the road because there's a manhole right before that connects right into the sewer. So, the only, work that they'll be doing is coming through our parking lot, and out and around the fire
Okay.
department now.
And is there any expense in here for closing up the sewer, septic that you have right now? Putting sand in there and, or is that part of this whole?
That's part of the bid, that's part of the
So
bid. that we received.
38,000 for this, closing it up and
It's
getting a
less
new
than that.
sewer line?
What was the bid amount, please? Was it 20?
It's 28,
Yeah.
about 28.
Wow, okay, and that should solve the problem from here
That's
on in?
correct.
Okay,
Yes.
That's all I had, thanks.
Thanks. Anybody else?
Carrie Wolf, S51 W25447, Glendale Road, Waukesha. For as many times as been said that all this information was available between 8 AM and 4 PM, I think it could have eliminated a ton of confusion if it would have been set forth right here for us to all see at the meeting tonight, rather than everyone in this room individually coming in to see that information. I can only assume why people would think, I don't want to use the hidden word, but it wasn't supplied. I think it should have been. It would have been good professional practice.
Thank you.
West 230, South 3827, Milky Way Road. Brian, thank you for your presentation. I thought it was interesting tonight that you made the presentation, particularly after the episodes of last year. Last year at this meeting that's about to come up, I made a motion to hold the levy at the previous year's level. And you said that you couldn't support that, and that you supported taxing the maximum. And even though that sounded not so good, politically maybe, I understood what that was about with Act 20 and everything. And as it was explained tonight, you know, that you can't recoup that necessarily. So my question is, for you, and you said last year we should tax the maximum, we were talking about $5,000, and you said because we've got needs to deal with roads and septic systems and that type of thing. As a matter of principle, I support taxing the maximum we can, and went on. And you would vote in opposition to my motion. And so I'm confused why tonight that principle seems to be changed or gone, and we are looking at an $80,000 difference between what's being proposed and what the state would allow us to tax. And I'm thinking, and again, nobody wants to spend money on legal and nobody wants high taxes, but we're walking away from that 80. We can't start there next year, and that 80 could go toward a fire truck or any number of other things that the town needs that you just got done saying we need in a capital fund. So, are you in support of the proposed levy of 1,585, which is below last year's maximum, next year's maximum of 1,664 is my first question.
Mr. Hahn, this entire board is in support of that. We have collaborated together and proposed a budget that is responsible, saves the taxpayers money, and lowers the tax levy, as well as total spending. If you are in support of raising all of these folks' taxes, please tell us, and you can make a motion to raise their taxes.
I'm suggesting that Mr. Fisher made that argument, among others.
Mr. Hahn?
And I'm wondering why the principle that was so elucidated last year is now gone.
Last year was last year, Mr. Hahn. We are here to talk about the levy for 2015. Are you in support of raising taxes for all the residents? If you are, you can make that motion and we'll vote on it.
Right, I can. And so obviously you're going to speak for Mr. Fisher. I'm sorry that he's unable to speak for himself.
He speaks fine, Mr. Hahn, but
I think
if you want to raise, Mr.
I'd like to ask,
Mr. Hahn, you will not speak over me, or you can find your seat. Now,
I'd like to
if you are
ask,
interested, we are here tonight to address the tax levy. All of these folks have heard all of this ridiculous nonsense about hidden fees and hidden numbers and all this nonsense. The fact is that we are reducing spending $191,000, 6%. We have reduced the recycling fees that we pay in the solid waste pickup by nearly 25%. We have budgeted in excess of the historic norms for snow and ice control, paving, and road maintenance. We have, in just 3 budget cycles, decreased the amount that we have spent on attorneys by 73%. In 2012, this town spent nearly $300,000 on attorneys. In 2013, we reduced that amount to $120,000. In 2014, that number went down, and we hope to finish at about $80,000, and we've budgeted $60,000 for next year. We are here to address the budget levy, and we don't, last year was last year. Do you have something productive to add about this budget and this levy without attacking Mr. Fisher any further? If you want to continue to attack him, Mr. Ham, you can find your seat.
Mr. Marek, I wasn't attacking him.
Yes, sir, you
I
are.
simply wanted, no I wasn't, and you don't get to characterize what I'm doing. And you called everybody in this room that you didn't like ridiculous, but if anyone says anything you're not fond of, you talk over them. I would like to ask the clerk how much money we spent last year pumping the septic system.
they hook up to the city
At this point, we have $12.95.
$12.95, okay. And next year, we're planning to spend $2,000 for the septic with the city, is that correct? That's what we're budgeting?
We have $4,000 budgeted currently.
$4,000 budgeted for next year for the
No,
sewer.
This year's budget is $4,000.
No, I'm asking for the city sewer, we're budgeting for next year $2,000.
That's correct.
And this year, so far, we spent $12.90?
$12.95 is what we have
$12.95.
through, currently, yes.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Marlon Nemeth. In the bulletin, you got my name spelled wrong. You got Marylln. It's the other way around. W252 S4485 Meadowview Drive. Question, are you still keeping Wednesdays and weekend garbage dumped here at this location?
Yes, nothing changes.
Okay, and the bin for recycling that's going to be used every 2 weeks, what size was that again?
That's a 96-gallon cart.
So all these older people in the town, where do you put these bins that are going to be such a large size and get them from your driveway out to the road for the dump? Thank you.
Well, mister, I'll answer that question, but if you ask a question, I'll answer it. How do you take the 96-gallon cart that you currently have?
I'm talking about people that are a lot older than me.
How do the people that are older than you do it currently?
They wheel it out.
Well, they're gonna do the same thing with the 96-gallon recyclable cart.
Just as a point of view.
That's ridiculous.
Why is it ridiculous? You're doing the same thing. You're
Just as a
simply gonna
point
do
of
it
the
twice.
contract, to clarify, there is a program.
Who's gonna fill that up in 2 weeks?
There is a program that we currently use with the town that provides for what's called drive-up service for town residents who are not able to wheel their cart down to the driveway. My understanding is that we have about 32 residents in that program right now. That is at the discretion of the town. So, and that is provided to those residents at no cost. The current contract allows for up to 65 residents to be in that program. So there is room with an aging population and all the other things that we encounter for that to increase over time. So there is a program in place. In addition to that, there is a paid-for drive-up service that people can subscribe to if they so choose and they don't have a legitimate disability to carry their cart down to the corner. It's just simply paid directly to the provider. It's about $130 or $40 a year. I don't subscribe to it. It's not going to change substantially in the new contract. So there are provisions. The thought process is that the new recyclable container is exactly the same size as your garbage container currently is. It's going from no wheels to wheels. I'm personally looking forward to it just because it will be wheeled, because I take my garbage down before I go to work in the morning in my work clothes, and I consistently get all over it. Okay, so I'm looking forward to having the 2 wheels on my 96-gallon cart. And if you don't fill it up, it's just like now. You know, I don't take my recyclables down every single week, and I don't take my garbage down every single week. So if you don't fill it up, you don't fill it up, and that will be collected every other collection period as opposed to every week.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Lori Longtime, W271 S3581 Oak Mill Drive, Waukesha. I don't have a question yet, so you don't have to bother to answer it yet. But I would just like to say that I haven't been to a town meeting in a while, but I'm very concerned with the atmosphere in here tonight. I just would like to remind the board that you serve us, not the other way around. We don't need to be lectured on what you will and will not tolerate. No one has been loud or angry or accusatory, but I think we do have a right to ask questions and have our questions answered so that we can understand this budget and what thought process was put into it, what decisions were made, why they were made. This is our money. This is our money that you are spending, and we have every right to ask a lot of detailed questions about how it's being spent and why it's being spent that way. It's a very simple aspect of democracy. And I know you and Angie don't get along and agree on things, and that's okay, but she has every right to stand up here as a citizen and ask those questions. And every time that somebody at this microphone says something you don't agree with, you're all over it, like, I will not tolerate these lies, and you can't attack Mr. Fisher. These are not attacks. Questions are not attacks, they're questions. And, you know, this whole demeanor is very unprofessional and childish. And you ran on a platform of you were gonna end the bickering. Well, everybody's off the board that quote-unquote bickered with you, and now you're bickering with the residents. So I'd like that to stop, and I think maybe you could do it. So that's what I have to say.
Lori?
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Lori?
Thank you.
Lori? Over here.
Yes.
Sorry. I didn't catch your street. Could you just give your street again? Just a street name.
Oak Knoll Drive.
Oh, no, okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Mike Borchert. Just last comments before we start voting here on that. I appreciate the intelligent questions we had this evening. And if there are people here this evening that are really concerned about our finances in the town, come to the meetings on a regular basis. You can't come to one meeting a year and find out everything that's going on and all the work and hours they put into a budget and expect the whole thing to be explained in a matter of hours. They have to condense it and give us the basics of it. And anybody that wants to set up the budget for the town, file some papers, run for office next election, and see if you get elected. Then you can get involved with the details of the town budget. But like I said before, the town residents elected this board, and we need to put our faith and trust in them. They are working for us. The costs are going down, the tax levy is going down. I see nothing for anybody to complain about. And for people to get up here and nitpick about stuff that is immaterial and can't see the trees from the forest is ridiculous. So trust these guys here and work with them. And come to the meetings if you're really that concerned about where your money's going. Because then you will find out every month what's going on and the decisions they make for spending our money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Levy Krzyżanowski, West 254 South 4360, Pin Lane. One thing I forgot to mention, I was at Town Hall twice yesterday requesting these budget details. Not once was I told that I could sit there and review every line item detail. I was handed a copy of what's on the table here tonight, that all of you had a copy of too. And then I got a phone call saying, oh, I gave you an incorrect copy, and now please come back and get a corrected copy. And it's the same copy as what were given tonight. Not once was I told during 2 phone calls and 2 visits to Town Hall that I could sit here and review the details. So I was unaware that this was available to me, and probably a lot of people in the audience also were unaware that they need to come to town hall to find out these details. The second thing I want to say is that by us asking questions and being concerned about where and how our taxpayer money is being spent, I think it's part of my job as being a responsible citizen to do this. Do any of you remember the Milwaukee County pension plan? That got passed, and it was just exorbitant because none of the taxpayers paid attention to where their tax money was going, and the people on the Milwaukee County board assumed that nobody cared anyway, and so they pulled the rug pulled the wool over the eyes of the Milwaukee County taxpayers that were still paying exorbitant pensions because it got passed without any taxpayer paying attention. So even if I'm the only taxpayer who wants to pay attention to what our town board is doing, these are trusted servants, yes, but they have a fiduciary responsibility to be stewards of our tax dollars. This is our money, not theirs. And when some people, not you personally, but politicians in general, can spend other people's money, they aren't always careful about how they spend their money. So we're just trying to ask questions to make sure that it's being spent carefully and our questions were answered, and I appreciate that. And just, if you remember the election last Tuesday, the whole entire state of Wisconsin electorate voted 80% to keep the transportation fund, and not allow the state to raid transportation funds to balance their budget. And so we need to keep an eye, all government is local. So we need to keep an eye on our local government. That's all we're doing. We're not doing this, or at least personally, I'm not doing it to pick on anybody and accuse them of not doing their job. I appreciate the job that they're doing, but it's my job to make sure that they do their job. And yes, I do come to most of the town board meetings, and unless, maybe some of you aren't aware, you can now watch them on YouTube. They do live streaming. And the last town board meeting, I wasn't here in person, but I watched it on YouTube, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, can I just make one comment? And it's good to see as many people in the room tonight as there are, because I think fundamentally that means people care. That's a good thing. We may care about different things. I'm a little bit concerned about some of the inflamed rhetoric tonight, but if you want to look constructively and moving forward, each and every member of this board, past boards and future boards, go to the town's website. I think there's some good constructive comments about information, that more information could be put on the website. One of the things that's on there is the email address and the phone number of every elected official in the town here. I'm not complaining, but I didn't receive a single call with a question, a comment, a single email. Do, as Mr. Borchard said, please come to the town board meetings, either during the meetings, before or after, approach people and talk to them. This is a good forum to do it in, but you don't have to wait the whole year to save up questions or have emotions and stuff that need to run on you. Give people a call. Names, addresses, emails are there. I think I can speak for all members of the board. We would welcome your comments, your criticisms, your questions, your input. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Is it appropriate to make a motion yet to approve the levy?
We need to close the meeting first, and at this time, I'd like to close the public hearing and call a special town meeting of the electors to order. Please remember that motions and voting are done by residents, and please do have signed in the back on the attendance sheet. And so this meeting is called to order. Notice was given that on Tuesday, November 11th, 2014, immediately following the public hearing on the 2015 proposed budget, a special town meeting of the electors will be called pursuant to section 60.12 sub 1 sub c of the Wisconsin statutes. Is there a motion to approve the proposed levy limit?
I make a motion to approve the levy for tonight.
Second?
I second it.
What's your name, sir?
Jim Mashalik.
Any discussion?
What is the levy?
The levy is the proposed levy is $1,585,586.
What's the mill rate?
Mill rate is 1.79.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Please approach the microphone.
that mill rate appear in your document? Should be on page 7, but I'm confused by the presentation. Page 7 of your document. You have 2013, 2013, 2014, two 2013s, a 2014, I don't see a 2015.
Thank you, thank you. It's 2013, 2014, and 2015, it should be.
So,
It's a typo.
so the mill rate, so 2013, but there's different numbers under each category. You have 2013, then you have 1,643,000, and the next one, 1,648,000. And then you have the same number twice under 2013 with the same mill rate. That couldn't be right. Those mill rates were not the same during those years. Are you
Yeah,
saying?
13, 14, and 15.
No.
Uh,
Can we confidently say that 2014 is truly 2015? Is that correct, the rightmost column?
That's correct.
And so the amount that you're asking us for is $1,585,586?
That's correct.
And the total assessed is $885,960,300?
That's correct.
With 1.7897?
That's correct.
Thank you.
What was the last number, the 1 point?
1.78.
Is I want to remind everyone, the motion is to establish the tax levy at $1,585,586. That's what the statute says the electorate sets. I've had communities who have done something different and had to go through the whole thing over again because somebody went back and checked the math and the mill rate changed by a slight amount. I'm not recommending you do that. The statute says, and the motion that was made was to set the levy at $1,585,586, correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
That's the motion. I don't want to confuse anybody. We understand all the other numbers that were presented are important, but the motion is to establish the levy, and that's what section 60.10 of the Wisconsin statute authorizes the electorate to do at this meeting. So just so there's no confusion on that, because I've had towns have to go back and redo it. It's not fun to get your tax bills 2 or 3 weeks late. Trust me.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Is there an increase of $10 million of 2015 property tax assessment? If I understand it correctly, looking at that last number?
Yes, Marty, is that accurate? It's basically roughly 10 million? From 875 to 885?
I believe so, yes. I don't have my reports with me.
Okay, so that's future people moving into this area?
Well, that's going to be inclusive of whatever changes in 2013 to 2014.
Oh, I thought that was.
New construction.
Can I just jump in? Can I just jump in for a minute? I believe the numbers and in the presentation, the total assessed value actuals for 2013, $875,125,900. 2014 actuals, $879,634,200, and for this point going forward, $885,960,300. So it would appear to me in the last year, that's roughly $6 million, if I've got that correctly. In the last 2 years, $10 million, I think is
Okay,
the
so I
correct.
understand we're projecting $4 million more in 2015?
No,
Is that correct or no?
This is the actual assessed value.
the actual assessed value as
Reason I
of
bring that up is that
as of January 1st of 2014, and Mr. Keene can correct me, but as of, this is based on January 1st of 2014, the assessed value for the entire town was $885,960,300, is that correct?
I believe that may be the equalized value.
Okay, equalized value.
Assessment and equalized are two different numbers.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So
Did
the
that
reason I
answer your
brought-
question?
Well, the reason I brought that up, the 179 that we're talking about, is dividing that number by the property value.
By the
Is that
equal
correct?
By the
So
levy.
if I look at that last column, then that's incorrect. You're saying it's not $10 million additional for 2015?
Well, first we have to be very careful. The values are established as of January 1st of the year. We have no idea what the value is going to be in 2015. That won't be established until the board review in May or later of 2015. You start with the values of January 1st, 2014, and that's what the bills are based on. I just want to clarify that one thing, and that is determined at the Board of Review. Now, I don't know where we got this number, because we have manufacturing assessments, we have ag assessment, we have all kinds of assessments, so that's why I don't like to do the math at these meetings.
I understand. So the number we're concerned about is that 1,500,000 that you're
Tax
talking
levy.
about? That's the
Yes.
big number.
That's the number. that
Yes. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote to adopt the motion to adopt the proposed levy limit of $1,585,586. In favor, please raise your hands. And should we stand?
No, I mean, you're gonna be able to count.
Can you put your hands up high so I can count? 6, 7.
Let's see what the no's are. They're not even close.
What do you?
The no's.
Gotta keep them up.
Keep up your hands, Tammy.
These are the yeses.
These are yeses.
We have the yeses.
These are yeses, please.
Yeses.
5, 6, 7.
I got the same number, 33 again.
36.
She gets 36 every time, so I don't think it, but let's see if it's gonna be close.
Okay.
Because we can stand it.
No's.
And the nose, please. And the motion has passed.
Abstentions?
Pardon?
Are there abstentions?
Abstentions, just.
Sure. Sure. Those that would abstain? I got 4. Motion carries. On to approve the 2015 highway expenditures to exceed $5,000 per road mile pursuant to section 82.03 sub 1 sub A of the Wisconsin statutes. Do we need a motion? Yes, ma'am?
I make a motion to approve that.
And a second? All in favor, please raise your hands.
Wait, discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry, discussion?
What's the amount? What are we voting on?
To approve the highway expenditures to exceed $5,000 per road mile.
Don't we need a number?
No?
Well, it depends on how you want it. The motion is to authorize the town board to exceed the amount, and that gives them the discretion on how much they want to spend. That's the way this motion was made. Now, we can clarify that motion if you want further. Go ahead.
Provide a little, perhaps, background on why this is necessary from a legal point of view?
Yes, there's a state statute in the state of Wisconsin that towns cannot spend more than $5,000 without your permission.
Good.
That's just the law in the state of Wisconsin, believe it or not. And so you'll find this on every town agenda for the special electorate meeting. That's pursuant to chapter 82, section 82.2A specifically, I believe. And
But how does it tie into the road mile issue?
well, I'm not, we have X amount of roads and we can expend, if we have, how many miles of roads approximately do we have?
67?
67 times 5 is all you'd be able to spend. And this budget anticipates spending more than that, and they're asking for permission to spend more than that. It's still limited to the levy amount, but we have some communities, I'm just being honest with you, some communities say you can spend what's in the budget for roads. Some say you can spend what you feel is appropriate, which to exceed the 5,000, which this motion does, okay? Or you can set a different amount. I mean, that it's your meeting, you get to decide how specific a motion you want. The motion that's made authorizes them to spend more than the 5,000.
Per
It does
mile.
not cap what they can spend.
Per mile.
Correct.
And what did you put in your budget to spend?
While they look that up, I gotta tell you, part of the problem with this is Some boards include snow plowing, some only put crack filling, some put road ditches, and it gets very complicated. Does the salt go in there? Is that part of road maintenance or not? And the Towns Association and the law doesn't give a lot of guidance on that, unfortunately. So we have to take the highest amount, which is probably the whole, pretty much public, I mean, does the public works staff go into, you know, and how much of the staff salary goes into it? Do we have an answer to the question?
But we're saying it's more than $335,000 if you use 67.
Yes, and that's primarily because it's inclusive of road repairs and plowing. And when you add our road repairs and our plowing, we clearly go over the 300 and whatever, is that SOC quote, I take her at her number.
Further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. And let's see the noes. You've got 4 noes. Motion carries. And lastly, we need to approve the minutes from the last meeting of December 3rd, 2013. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. And opposed? And the motion carries. And we need, lastly, are there any other public comments? And a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second?
I need your name, sir.
Bob Gagel.
Oh, sorry.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries, we're adjourned, and we'll move on to the special